So in this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your Procreate artwork into a printed out 5x7 folding card at home with your own printer. I also painted the artwork that you see on this card here with Procreate, and I made a separate video explaining that process, and you can find a link in the description. So this is the original finished artwork that I made in Procreate, and it's on a canvas that's RGB, and it's 4000 pixels by 5000 pixels. And the first step here is to export your artwork as a JPEG and then save it to your iPad. And once the artwork is exported, we need to create a new blank Procreate canvas that matches the size of paper that our printer is set up for. So for example, if you're in the USA, your printer is probably set up for US letter size, which is 8.5 by 11. If you're in the rest of the world, your paper size is probably A4. And to create a canvas that matches that, go to your gallery page and make a new canvas over here. And here's the A4 paper size, and then here's the US letter paper size. So my printer is set up for A4 paper, so I'm going to make a new A4 size canvas like that. Next, we need some kind of template that we can place in here that'll show us how big a 5x7 folding card is. And I've made 2 of those for you for free, and you can download them in the description. Just remember there's 2 options. One of them is for A4, and then one of them is for a US letter size, but they both produce a 5x7 folding card in the end. And once you've got your template size downloaded, go ahead and place it in. So go to the wrench, go to Add, Insert a Photo, and then you can look for the template. It's this one here. And it's just a JPEG image that exactly fits A4 or US letter, and then it has this kind of dotted line and a center fold here. This is where it's going to fold in half. And we're going to use this to place our artwork. So to make this easier, I'll turn it sideways. And then I can place in my artwork by going to Add, Insert a Photo. And then I'm going to insert the artwork that we exported in the first step here. And it's on top of the template. And you can see it's sort of covering it up. So what I want to do is open the Layers panel. Here's our artwork. I'm going to change it to Multiply. And then you can see it's no longer covering up our template. So I'm going to move it around and basically try to center it on the front of the card. There we go. And remember, this is a folding 5x7 card, and this is the center. So this is 5x7, and this is 5x7. So make sure you place your artwork on the right side if you want it to be on the front of the card. And sometimes it's hard to tell if it's perfectly centered on the front because there's no hard line here we can use as a reference. So sometimes I like to use like a piece of paper, and I'll just lay it down here, just across the center there. And then it's more easier for me to see where I can position this artwork. There we go, that looks pretty centered. And now once we've got everything set up like this, we could just send it to print right now. But my printer isn't working over Wi-Fi, so I can't print directly from the iPad like that. I have to export it and airdrop it to my laptop first. So before I do that, I want to remember to make sure that my canvas is rotated in this kind of portrait orientation. And then I can share it like this as a JPEG, and then I'll airdrop it. And after it's airdropped to my laptop, I like to adjust the colors just a little bit with Photoshop. It's not really a critical thing, it's just that my printer has a tendency to make the colors look sort of bluish. So I like to push all the colors towards yellow, and this can kind of counteract that effect. Another thing I do sometimes is boost the saturation. It might look a little bit weird on the screen, but it'll look totally natural when I print it out. And as a kind of side note here, I want to mention that I don't use CMYK for anything. All of my artwork is in RGB, and I send those files to my printer without any kind of conversion. And of course, once the colors are adjusted, I can just send this to print. And I always want to make sure that it's printing at 100% scale, and not something else like a custom scale or maybe a fit to page. It needs to be at 100% size. And here's the print, and I think it turned out pretty good. Usually I'll double check everything with a ruler to make sure that it didn't print out at slightly the wrong size. If it's just a little bit wrong, you might not notice it, and then you've already cut it out and it won't fit in the envelope. I think cutting it out is pretty straightforward. First, I kind of emboss the centerfold, and this makes it easier to kind of fold on that point because it's dented. After that, I'll just the ruler and the knife to cut it all out. I guess the only trick is that you should cut with the crop marks and don't cut on the dotted line. If you cut on the crop marks, it's going to cut just to one side of the dotted line so they don't end up on the card. Another thing that makes it easier is don't cut all the way across the page. Try to cut just partially and keep everything together until the last cut, and it kind of frees the card. And there we go. I'm just going to fold the card in half and then it's done. Once again, if you missed the video where I painted the artwork that I'm using in this card, I'll put a link to that tutorial in the description, along with the 5x7 print templates that I mentioned earlier. And that pretty much wraps it up. If you think I've earned it, please give this video a like, and I'll look forward to seeing you again in the next video.